You know, it would be really nice if religious people trying to refute atheism would either stick to it as a faith issue, or, if they insist on making it a matter of rational discussion, would actually understand what a rational discussion is and how logic and reasoning are to be applied. But they don't. Case in point, this guy, Pevensie15.
Richard Dawkins and his God delusion will be the topic of discussion in this broadcast. What I'm going to do is go over the central argument of his book. In his book, he tries to establish evidence that God is delusion, and he basically summarizes his arguments on pages 157 to 158. The argument consists of 6 premises. Number 1, the most contemplated fact of the mind is the incredible design we see in nature.
Look, if you're gonna talk about the guy's book, and you're gonna tell what pages the arguments are on, and you're gonna specify which argument you're referring to, you should at least quote it right. Because otherwise, you'll look like an idiot when someone like me comes along and corrects you. Here's the actual argument. One of the greatest challenges to the human intellect over the centuries has been to explain how the complex, improbable appearance of design in the universe arises.
Alright, I couldn't argue with that. Well, I don't think it's the most contemplated fact.
He didn't say it was.
But we do see incredible design in nature. Richard Dawkins is right about that.
No, he didn't say that either. He said the appearance of design. There's a difference.
And that sounds like a Dawkins anomaly or something, because he's saying there's incredible design and then he denies the designer.
Yeah, except he's not saying there's incredible design, you misquoting buffoon. He's saying the appearance of design. Why did you not quote him directly? Did you just figure that all the little religious nut creationists out there watching your video would just go right along with you without even checking to see what he really said? Well, the sad part is, you're probably right.
Premise 2 states the natural temptation of this fact is to attribute this design to a designer.
Misquoting again! Dawkins actually wrote, the natural temptation is to attribute the appearance of design to actual design itself. In the case of a man-made artifact such as a watch, the designer really was an intelligent engineer. It is tempting to apply the same logic to an eye or a wing, a spider or a person. Once again, you leave out the word appearance. Do you really think that this is acceptable behavior?
If I was walking through a park and saw someone's laptop on the floor that they had left there, I see the laptop, I know that someone designed it.
The reason why you would know someone designed it is twofold. One, we know how laptops are designed. There are factories that make them. You can look up all the parts that go into laptops and how they go together. You can even build your own. And 2, we know of no natural phenomenon capable of producing laptops. Both of these criteria have to be in place to make the argument for design valid. But no one has ever seen your God create anything. The only evidence we have that he ever did is a Bronze Age text passed down orally for centuries and then continually translated and retranslated, each new edition being as revisionist as the ones before it. And we do know of natural phenomenon capable of explaining how planets form, how life forms, and how that life evolves over time. We may not have a complete theory in every instance, but it's a lot better than what you guys have.
He says in premise 3 that it is a false temptation because who designed the designer?
I detailed this argument and the reason why it's bogus in a previous video, Why Intelligent Design is Wrong.
If you're arguing from the Big Bang cosmology, for example, that the universe had a cause.
Nothing in Big Bang cosmology requires a cause. Nothing precludes it either, but there is the possibility of the universe being completely self-contained in space and time, with no boundary or edge, rendering the concept of an initial cause moot.
God would be the best explanation for that, and he must necessarily exist. Therefore, he must exist eternally. And why would you ask if an eternal God had a creator? Because it's not that he doesn't have a creator, it's that he cannot have a creator.
Blatant special pleading. Just because God is eternal relative to our dimension of time doesn't mean that he's eternal relative to his dimension of time. String theory postulates that our universe exists in a larger realm of 11-dimensional hyperspace. If this is true, then our universe is simply an object in that space. Imagine a pencil. The point of the pencil is the Big Bang. The sharpened point represents the inflationary period, and the rest represents the universe, with the eraser, appropriately enough, being the end of time. The long dimension of the pencil is therefore the time dimension. At any given time, there is a two-dimensional cross-section which represents the state of the universe at that time. All you need to do is add 1 to this dimension and you have our universe. From this point of view, you are eternal relative to the pencil you're holding. You exist simultaneously at the point, the eraser, and all points in between. Yet, you are not eternal relative to your own time dimension. Now, let's say a robot designed and created this pencil. The robot, of course, needs to be designed, so there you have it. In this hyperdimensional realm, a creature not eternal in that realm could create a universe just like someone in our world can create a pencil. So it's ridiculous to say that our universe's designer, if he even exists, cannot have a designer. But it's worse than that. The properties which you insist mean there is a designer, even if it were true, are local to this universe only. In hyperspace, you would not be limited by the properties of this universe. M-theory, an offshoot of string theory, postulates that hyperspace is full of membranes, or brains for short, and it was the collision of two brains which created our universe, itself a four-dimensional membrane, or forebrain, floating through hyperspace. All completely natural, no intelligence required.
So let's go into premise 4. The most ingenious and powerful explanation is that of Darwinian evolution by natural selection. I'm surprised he didn't throw in mutations there because, I don't know.
Because it's natural selection that causes the allele frequencies to change, which is what evolution is. If you knew anything about the subject, you'd understand that.
I don't know what he means by that premise. I know he's very dogmatic on his belief that evolution is just a fact.
No, he's not dogmatic because he has evidence. If it's based on evidence, it's not dogma.
Just show me evidence, someone.
Sure, just look through my videos. You might want to start with my 6-part series, How Evolution is Scientific. I have many others, as well as CDK007, Thunderfoot's series, Why Do People Laugh at Creationists, Potholer 54's Made Easy series, and many others. I'm also coming out with a book in conjunction with the second edition of How Evolution is Scientific, which is about 160 pages, so it should be a nice, easy read, but it goes into as much detail as a book that size can get and is heavily sourced. And of course, Richard Dawkins just released a new book, The Greatest Show on Earth, detailing this evidence from his point of view as an expert in evolutionary biology. There really is no excuse anymore.
You can't give me one transitional form.
Tiktaalik!
Science is something that has to be repeated, tested, observed. We have never done that with Darwinian evolution.
You might not have done that, but thousands of scientists have over 150 years, and as I and others have shown, it has stood up to repeated testing and duplication in the laboratory.